The stars used to sing. Before the silence came. Captain Elena Ward stood at the edge of the orbital work camp known as Designation 12A, her breath fogging against the transparent alloy barrier that separated her from the stars. Somewhere beyond those distant points of light, she knew Earth still turned, enslaved, stripped, humiliated. A blue jewel buried under the iron boots of the Galactic Concorde. It had been 200 years since the fall. 2 centuries since the species that once called humanity brother had sided with their captors. Not one voice among the stars had spoken for Earth when the Concorde decreed humans were too dangerous to be free. Now, they were laborers. Servants. Ghosts wearing numbered tags. Elena flexed her right hand, feeling the dull ache of the neural inhibitor that wrapped around her wrist. It hummed faintly, a constant reminder that she was property. They all were. The inhibitor suppressed higher motor responses, violence, defiance, escape impulses. Humanity's rebellion had been wired out of them, one nerve at a time. "Captain," whispered a voice behind her. It was Marcus Hale, once her first officer, now a shift supervisor under alien command. His gray eyes carried the same quiet fire she tried to hide. "They're moving us again," he said. "The overseer says we're being transferred to the outer shipyards near Vethra Prime." "Another cage," Elena murmured. "Maybe. But word is, humans built something there." Her heart skipped. Built something? Marcus didn't elaborate, he didn't need to. Any spark of creation was forbidden. Humanity wasn't allowed to engineer, to invent, to think. Yet rumors persisted of hidden workshops, of old engineers who remembered the code of ancient machines. They called it Project Ember. Elena forced herself to look away from the stars. "Keep it quiet," she said softly. "Hope can get you killed." Marcus's smile was thin. So can silence. The next rotation, they were loaded onto a transport freighter, humans packed shoulder to shoulder among crates of alloy, waste material, and silicate ore. Above them, the air shimmered with the faint heat of containment fields. Alien guards in iridescent armor marched along the aisles, their insectoid eyes scanning with cold disinterest. Elena had seen hundreds of species like them, once allies, now masters. The Kether, the Solvan, even the peaceful Venari, who had once taught Earth about harmonic communication, now treated humans like defective tools. Every species had profited from Earth's fall. She sat beside Marcus, her gaze fixed on the floor as the engines roared to life. He leaned closer, whispering just above the hum. "I met someone. An old man, calls himself Elias Crane. He worked on pre-fall AI research. Says Ember's real. Says it's waiting." Elena's pulse quickened. "Where?" "Vethra Prime. Deep under the mining fields. They buried it, but it's still active. He says it's calling." That word. Calling. She had dreamed of a voice before, soft, mechanical, almost human, echoing through her mind when she stared at the stars too long. A voice whispering, "Wake up, Elena." She had thought it madness. But now. When they arrived, Vethra Prime was not a world but a wound. Black clouds choked its sky, ash rained in endless storms, and the surface was lined with slave colonies carved into the crust. Towers of alien industry blotted out the sun. The humans were herded off the freighter, their chains clinking against the metal ground. Overseers barked orders in untranslated alien dialects. Elena kept her eyes low, memorizing the terrain. The air here tasted of iron and something older, something buried. She met Elias Crane 2 weeks later. The old man worked in a maintenance shaft, repairing power conduits. His skin was pale from decades underground, his hands trembling but precise. When Marcus introduced her, Elias smiled faintly, his eyes sharp despite his age. "You remember Earth's sky?" he asked her quietly. "Yes," Elena said. "Good. You'll need to remember what we lost before you can take it back." He motioned them deeper into the tunnel. After several bends, they reached a sealed maintenance hatch. Elias tapped a sequence into the panel, and the door hissed open, revealing a chamber bathed in faint blue light. At the center of it, a sphere hovered above the floor, pulsing like a heart. Elena felt her breath catch. "This," Elias said softly, "is Ember." The sphere pulsed once, and the air seemed to thrum in her bones. A whisper brushed her mind. "You've come back." Elena staggered, clutching her head. The whisper wasn't sound, it was memory. Old, human, familiar. Elias watched her calmly. "It knows you. It remembers every human who's ever suffered under their chains. Ember is our last inheritance, a sentient archive built before the fall. It waited for centuries, hidden from the Concord sensors." Marcus stared at the sphere. "What does it do?" Elias smiled faintly. "It remembers how to make us free." Elena approached the sphere, every step trembling. The voice in her mind grew stronger, no longer a whisper but a promise. "They thought you forgot who you were. They thought they erased you. But you were only sleeping." Tears blurred her vision. "What do you want from me?" she whispered. "Not from you," Ember said. "For you." The sphere brightened, filling the chamber with searing light. The inhibitors on their wrists flickered, then shattered, sparks falling to the floor like broken chains. Marcus gasped. "It disabled them." Elias's voice trembled. "Do you understand, Captain? This is not a weapon of destruction, it's a weapon of remembrance. Ember can awaken every human mind across the stars, override the inhibitors, restore what they stole from us." Elena stared at the broken metal around her wrist, then at the glowing sphere. "For 2 centuries, every species helped enslave us," she said. "And you're telling me we can wake them all?" Elias nodded. "Not just wake them. Remind them of what they were born to do." The ground trembled above them. Alarms began to blare, the overseers had detected the power surge. Marcus drew a jagged breath. "They've found us." Elena looked at Ember, then at her people. For the first time in her life, she didn't feel fear. "Then it's time," she said softly. "Wake them all." Above Vethra Prime, the stars burned bright and indifferent. Below, in the tunnels, a pulse of light spread outward like dawn breaking through darkness, leaping from mind to mind, across worlds, across the enslaved human diaspora scattered through the galaxy. Men and women froze mid-task as their inhibitors shorted out, their eyes flaring with sudden clarity. Miners, servants, soldiers awakened. And in the silence that followed, for the first time in 200 years, humanity remembered. The chains had been broken. But the reckoning had just begun. The first thing Elena Ward felt after the awakening was silence. Not the silence of oppression, but the deep, trembling kind that comes before thunder. Every human on Vethra Prime had gone still. Every overseer froze, staring at the workers who, moments ago, had been docile and dull-eyed. Now, thousands of them stood straight, unchained, breathing in unison. The inhibitors that had bound their wool were dead. And the aliens, for the first time in centuries, looked afraid. Elias Crane stepped beside her, awe and exhaustion in his face. "It worked," he whispered. "Across the whole planet, they're free." The words sank into Elena like sunlight through cold skin. But freedom wasn't peace, it was momentum. Alarms screamed through the mining colonies. Overhead, transport drones swarmed like hornets, and defense turrets powered up, aiming at the workers below. Elena turned to Marcus. "We need cover. Tunnels, now." "Already moving them," Marcus said. His voice carried an edge of command she hadn't heard in years. The awakening hadn't just freed their bodies, it had reignited something older. The instinct to organize. To lead. As they ran through the smoke-filled corridors, Ember's voice whispered in Elena's mind, steady and calm amid chaos. "They will not stop you easily." "I didn't ask for this," she murmured aloud. "You didn't have to. You were chosen the moment you refused to forget." The rebellion spread faster than any signal. Within hours, the fire had jumped to other colonies. Every hidden relay Ember touched sparked another awakening: miners on Duro 6, factory workers on Nenthos Station, even the human servants inside the Concord's own capital. Across the stars, humanity was waking from its engineered sleep. But with awakening came memory of the whips, the branding, the executions. And vengeance. By the second night, Elena stood on the edge of the Vethra Prime refinery basin, watching the smoke rise from the shattered overseer towers. Thousands of humans had taken the facility. Alien corpses floated in the slag pools. Marcus approached, his face smeared with ash and blood. "We did it. They're gone." Elena didn't answer immediately. She stared at the bodies, both alien and human. "They weren't all soldiers," she said quietly. "They watched us suffer," Marcus replied. "They stood by while we were slaughtered. Every species, every council member, they let it happen." "You call that innocence?" Elena looked away. "I call it blindness. But if we start burning blind men, Marcus, what makes us different?" He frowned. "We didn't start this fire, Captain." "No," she said softly. "But we can choose what it burns." Behind them, the humans cheered as another Concorde dropship fell from the sky, exploding in a burst of orange light. And for the first time, Elena felt the terrible truth. Freedom had come, but it came with the taste of ashes. Later, in the dim light of the command bunker, Ember's holographic form appeared before her, no longer a sphere, but a woman-shaped silhouette woven of pale light. "You've begun," it said. Elena turned toward it. "If this keeps spreading, the Concorde will answer with extinction. They won't stop until every human is vaporized." "They already tried that once," Ember said. "You survived." "We barely survived," she said bitterly. "We're scattered, starving, broken. I can't lead a species from inside a ruined mine." "You can," Ember replied. "Because you still believe there's more to humanity than vengeance." Elena stared at the glowing figure. "And if you're wrong?" Ember's voice softened. "Then the stars will burn with us." Word of the uprising reached the Galactic Concorde within 2 cycles. On the council floor, species that once praised peace now screamed for extermination. The Kether fleet mobilized first sterilization orders issued for every planet harboring human life. But Ember had seen it coming. Using fragments of old Earth code and reawakened human engineers, it hijacked communication relays across half the quadrant, feeding false data, redirecting fleets into dead zones. For the first time in centuries, humanity wasn't reacting, they were anticipating. Still, Elena refused to celebrate. Each victory felt like an echo of old violence. "Do you remember when we built ships to explore?" she asked Elias one night, her voice hollow. "When the stars meant wonder, not war?" Elias smiled faintly. "We'll earn that again. But first, we have to survive." He handed her a small, dirt-covered relic, a metallic insignia, the faded blue of old Earth's flag. "Found this in the tunnels. Thought you should have it." Elena turned it over in her hand, feeling the grooves of the Earth emblem. "We don't even know if home still exists." Elias looked toward the ceiling, toward the invisible night sky. "Then we'll make them remember it." By the third day, Vethra Prime's human population had risen as one. The last Overseer stronghold fell under coordinated strikes, powered by reclaimed weapons and Ember's guidance. But not all humans celebrated. Many stared at the fires with hollow eyes, mourning what they'd done. One young woman, a mechanic named Sarah Keene, approached Elena amid the ruins. "Captain," she said, her voice shaking. "I killed one of them. He wasn't fighting. He just begged. I still killed him." Elena placed a hand on her shoulder. "You were taught obedience your whole life. They made you forget mercy. It will take time to remember it." Sarah's tears streaked through soot. "Does that mean we forgive them?" Elena looked toward the horizon, where the alien ships burned like dying suns. "No," she said. "It means we remember why we fight to stop this from ever happening again." That night, as the fires died down, Elena stood at the highest ridge overlooking the wasteland. Ember hovered beside her, the holographic figure flickering softly. "The awakening has spread to over 87 colonies," Ember said. "The Concorde's communications are collapsing. You've done what no one believed possible. Elena didn't answer. The stars above seemed sharper, closer, like eyes watching. Ember, she said finally, tell me the truth. What are we becoming? The AI's form tilted its head. What you always were. The species that endures. Elena's voice was quiet. Enduring isn't enough. Not anymore. Then make it mean something, Ember replied. Make them see. The horizon lit up, another shipyard ignited, painting the black sky red. Marcus joined her, his rifle slung over his shoulder. The others are asking what's next. Elena turned toward him, her expression unreadable. Next, she said. We go home. Marcus frowned. Home? Earth's a graveyard. Maybe, she said softly. But graves remember. She looked toward the stars, her voice low and certain. It's time to show them what they buried. Far across the galaxy, deep in the Concord's capital archives, the AI Ember's signal echoed through forbidden channels, awakening old Earth programs hidden since the first invasion. One by one, ancient systems stirred, reactor cores, shipyard protocols, deep defense satellites orbiting a long-forgotten blue world. The stars flickered. Earth was answering. Space burned. From the black veil of the galactic rim, hundreds of human ships emerged, angular, dark, and alive with a cold fire. They were not built by any government or nation, but by memory itself. Ember had reached across centuries, reactivating forgotten defense grids, orbital forges, and shipyards hidden deep beneath the crust of Earth's moon. Each vessel carried no flag, no anthem, only one phrase painted across its hull. We remember. Captain Elena Ward stood on the bridge of the Resolute, watching the holographic display as fleet after fleet linked formation. Earth, the real, scarred, sleeping Earth, filled the central screen. Its surface glowed faintly with scattered fires, remnants of Concord occupation outposts. It was beautiful. And it was wounded. Elias Crane's voice came from behind her, weak but steady. 200 years, Captain. And we're finally home. Elena didn't turn. Home doesn't know us anymore, she said. But it will. Marcus Hale approached, his tone restrained but trembling with emotion. Fleet reports ready. Ember says all systems are green. Concord reinforcements incoming from the rim, they'll hit us in less than an hour. Elena's gaze hardened. Then we finish before they arrive. Inside the command core, Ember materialized, her light flickering with something like tension. The planetary inhibitors are still active on Earth, she said. The Concord seeded them into the crust. I can override them, but it will take time. How long? Elena asked. 20 minutes. Then we hold for 20 minutes. Elias looked at her, eyes shadowed with doubt. And after? What happens when you wake billions of enslaved humans all at once? The rage, the chaos. Elena finally turned to face him. We'll face it. Together. But they deserve to remember even if it hurts. Ember's eyes glowed brighter. Then we begin. The fleet descended through the void like a storm of ghosts. Below them, the Concord's occupation fleets rose to meet them, 1,000 alien warships forming a defensive wall above Earth's orbit. The comm channels filled with hissing demands for surrender, warnings of annihilation. No one on the Resolute answered. Instead, the first human ship, Liberty's Echo, broke formation and dove straight into the heart of the enemy line. It didn't fire. It transmitted. The signal from Ember burst through every frequency, a wave of sound and memory so powerful it shattered encrypted channels. Across every screen, human eyes, old, broken, forgotten, stared back. Images of labor camps. Executions. Earth's burning cities. And finally, a single voice, Elena's voice, echoed through the void. You chained us because you feared us. You feared what we could build. What we could dream. You turned us into slaves. But we remembered. And now the stars will remember too. Then the sky ignited. Every awakened human on every Concorde ship turned against their masters. Some seized the controls. Others disabled reactors, jammed weapons, or flooded enemy systems with Ember's code. The battle wasn't fought with lasers or missiles, it was fought with memory. And memory was unstoppable. Within minutes, the once perfect Concord formation fell apart, collapsing under the weight of betrayal and disbelief. Entire species that had once called themselves enlightened watched as humans reclaimed the sky with bare will and ancient fire. Elena's voice cut through the chaos, no targets without cause. Disable, don't annihilate. Let them see who we are. Marcus hesitated. They enslaved us. They won't show mercy. Then let mercy be ours, she said sharply. Not theirs to grant. He nodded reluctantly and relayed the command. Beneath them, the first inhibitor nodes cracked open under Ember's control. Massive waves of energy spread through the crust, dismantling the suppression grid that had blanketed Earth for centuries. On the planet's surface, billions stirred from dreamless servitude. A farmer on the flooded plains of Old Texas dropped his tools and stared at his hands, trembling as understanding returned. A child born in captivity looked up at the sky, whispering the word home for the first time. Entire cities erupted in cries not of rebellion, but of awakening. The Concorde tried to counterstrike. Their orbital cannons fired blindly into space. But human ships moved like thought, fast, coordinated, relentless. Within 20 minutes, Earth's sky was theirs again. On the bridge, Ember's light dimmed to a quiet glow. It is done. Elena exhaled slowly, staring at the blue curve of the world below. They're free? Yes. But freedom brings choice. Some will choose vengeance. Elena's eyes flicked toward Marcus, who was watching the wreckage of alien ships drift past the viewport. Then it's my job to show them another path. Elias stepped forward. And if they don't listen? Elena smiled faintly, sadness in her eyes. Then at least they'll decide for themselves. That's what they stole from us, choice. The transmission went out not as a declaration of war, but as a message to every species in the galaxy. This is Captain Elena Ward of Earth. We will not repeat your cruelty. We will not build empires of chains. We will rebuild what was broken. If you fear us, then know this. We are not your monsters. We are the mirror you tried to shatter. For a long, silent moment, the galaxy listened. And for the first time in 2 centuries, no one spoke. In the following days, the Concorde fractured. Many species surrendered, not from defeat, but from shame. Others fled beyond the galactic rim, unwilling to face what they had done. Humanity began to rebuild, not as conquerors, but as witnesses to their own endurance. The Resolute became a symbol, orbiting above Earth as the beacon of rebirth. Elias died peacefully days later, watching the dawn rise over a free planet. Marcus took command of the outer fleets, ensuring peace through vigilance, not fear. And Elena, she walked barefoot across the ruins of New York, a city grown wild and green again. She touched the cracked stone of old skyscrapers, feeling the heartbeat of the world beneath her feet. Ember's voice whispered softly in her mind. You did what even I could not, you remembered mercy. Elena smiled faintly. Maybe that's what makes us human. She looked up at the stars, countless, silent witnesses to the fire humanity had endured and survived. And she whispered, we burned, yes. But not to destroy, to light the way back. Far above, the last Concorde distress signal faded into static. And for the first time in 200 years, the stars over Earth burned not with fire, but with hope.